Most people assume debt is a problem waiting to be solved, that if enough discipline, reform, or responsibility were applied, it could eventually be reduced, managed, or paid off. But this assumption misunderstands what debt is designed to do. Debt is not a temporary condition of the modern economy. It is a permanent feature. This episode examines why debt is never meant to be repaid, not because of negligence or corruption, but because repayment would break the system itself. Chapter 1. The moral framing of debt. Debt is almost always framed as a moral issue. Owing money is treated as a personal failure. Paying it down is considered virtuous. Eliminating it is presented as freedom. This framing is powerful because it shifts responsibility away from the system and onto the individual. But economies do not operate on moral logic. They operate on continuity. The question is not whether debt is good or bad. The question is whether debt is necessary for the system to function as designed. Once you ask that question, the narrative changes. Chapter 2. Debt as structural fuel. Modern economies are built on growth. Growth requires expansion. Expansion requires financing. Debt is the mechanism that makes this possible. When debt is issued, money enters the system. When debt is repaid without replacement, money leaves the system. If all debt were repaid at once, the money supply would contract violently. Businesses would lose liquidity. Employment would collapse. Markets would freeze. Debt cannot disappear without taking money with it. This is why debt is not eliminated. It is rolled over. Chapter 3. The logic of rollover. Rollover is the quiet process by which old debt is replaced with new debt. Loans mature, bonds expire, and obligations come due. Instead of being settled fully, they are refinanced, extended, or replaced. This is not failure, it is design. Governments roll over debt perpetually. Corporations refinance rather than repay. Financial institutions rely on continuous issuance to maintain liquidity. The system assumes that debt will exist tomorrow, just as it exists today. Repayment is treated as an exception. Continuity is the rule. Chapter 4. Why interest changes. Everything. Interest ensures that more money is owed than was created. This creates a permanent imbalance. To service interest, additional money must enter the system. That money comes from new debt. This is why debt grows even in periods of stability. The system requires expansion to remain solvent. Without new borrowing, existing obligations cannot be met cleanly. Debt is not a bug. It is the mechanism that keeps money circulating. Chapter 5. The illusion of fiscal responsibility. Public discourse often focuses on balancing budgets, reducing deficits, and paying down obligations. These goals sound responsible, but they conflict with how modern systems actually operate. When governments attempt aggressive debt reduction, economic contraction follows. Spending falls, employment tightens, political pressure mounts, the policy is reversed. The system tolerates discussion of responsibility. It does not tolerate removal of fuel. This is why debt reduction is promised rhetorically and avoided structurally. Chapter 6. Who benefits from permanent debt? Permanent debt benefits those closest to issuance. Institutions that create, manage, and trade debt gain influence and stability. Interest payments become predictable income streams. Financial systems become anchored around obligations rather than production. Those further from issuance experience debt as constraint. Payments are fixed, flexibility is limited. Time becomes pre-committed. Debt is experienced differently depending on position within the system. Chapter 7. The psychological effect. When debt is framed as temporary, people expect relief. They plan for an endpoint that never arrives. This keeps them compliant and hopeful. Permanent debt, if acknowledged openly, would change behavior. People would question participation, growth assumptions, and long-term planning. The system avoids this by maintaining the illusion of eventual resolution. The invisible economy relies on expectation management as much as mathematics. Chapter 8. Why collapse is always postponed? Because debt is permanent. Collapse is rarely allowed to occur cleanly. Instead, crises are managed, delayed, and redistributed. Losses are absorbed selectively. Liquidity is injected. Time is bought. The goal is not resolution, it is continuity. Debt does not end systems. Mismanaged transitions do. Seeing debt clearly, debt is not a mistake waiting to be corrected. It is the structure that allows modern economies to function. Understanding this does not mean embracing debt blindly or rejecting it emotionally. It means recognizing its role. Once you see debt as permanent, many narratives lose their urgency. Fear subsides, confusion fades, the system becomes legible. This is the second layer of the invisible economy. Money is created through credit. Credit survives through debt. And debt endures because the system cannot exist without it. Understanding that does not free you from the system, it frees you from misunderstanding it.